guys, welcome back to Life on Nerds. Hope you guys are doing well today. We're going to be discussing the watches that were released at Watches and Wonders. If you don't know, Watches and Wonders is essentially what SIHH was. It was renamed to Watches and Wonders, obviously because of the coronavirus kind of sweeping the nation and people kind of not wanting to have these big gatherings of people. Watches and Wonders actually put their show virtually. They now have a virtual session where you can go and see the releases of these new watches. It started on April 25th and there's been some really interesting watches that have been released. What I want to do is actually go through some of them. I'm going to be using Hodinkee because they have the full coverage of all of the releases, which has been really helpful for me to keep up with the watch news, being that I can't really attend all of the virtual sessions. So that's going to be my source. So thank you to Hodinkee for covering it. There are some beautiful watches out there that have been released and they're pretty awesome. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But before we get into that, be sure to like this video if you thought Watches and Wonders going virtual was a good thing. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos. So the first watch, and this watch was like basically swept Instagram and was a real hit with people who love watches, and that is the Laurent Ferrier Grand Sport Tourbillon. So they had this watch previously, but now it's in stainless steel. They have a stainless steel bracelet on it. It's really beautiful. If you look at the dial of the watch, it's kind of got this faded blue, kind of really dark, kind of ocean blue to it. And then the hands of the watch, as well as the hour markers, are kind of like this faux patina color, kind of like a dark yellow or a light yellow, dark yellow. So it's really beautiful. Got a sub-seconds dial, which is really beautiful. Beautiful, like kind of like onion crown on the outside of the watch. It's 44 millimeters, so it's relatively big, but when you turn it over, I think that's really the selling point. You see this beautiful tourbillon is at 6 o'clock, which is beating really, really nicely. Just beautiful finishing from Laurent Ferrier as usual. It's a beautiful watch for sure. It's priced at about 172,000 Swiss francs, so relatively expensive, but a beautiful tourbillon that a lot of people were enamored with. 100-meter water resistance. Super new luminova for the looms. It's really beautiful watch. It's running, the caliber that the tourbillon is running on is the 619.01, so a beautiful piece. There's only 12 that have been produced, so it's probably already sold out, but a beautiful piece nonetheless, and really swept Instagram pretty quickly. I will say this piece, I think there's some people who didn't really like it because it really just is another steel sports watch, you know, but each their own there. The next piece is from a personal favorite manufacturer of mine, Constantin, and they came out with the overseas Perpetual Calendar, ultra thin with a blue dial, gold watch. It is incredible. This used to come on blue dials used to only be on rubber straps for them, but now they've incorporated a bracelet for this. Perpetual calendars are just phenomenal. They're a beautiful complication. I think the proportions of the Vacheron dial on this one is absolutely stunning. The fact that it's ultra thin, I think, is also kind of goes to those people who are looking for wearability in their watches, which I think is really useful for this one. I think they really saw that blue watches have become super popular, and of course jumped on that bandwagon. I know I saw some watch memes where people were saying, "Oh, we changed the dial color, now it's a completely new watch," but I think this really does have a different feel to it, being that it's a completely gold watch. It's running on the caliber 1120 QP-1. It actually comes in a couple variations. You can get it on a rubber strap, you can get it on a gold bracelet, and then with a kind of like a dark blue strap as well. Like I said, it's a perpetual calendar, so it's hours, minutes, perpetual calendar, and moon phase complications. It's priced at $88,500 US, so around that same price for Swiss francs. It's only 8.1 millimeters in thickness, so I mean that's pretty incredible. Pink gold, which is also beautiful. So this one really stood out to me. I know some people are going to say it's not really a complete new watch, but it's a beautiful watch to me. The next one was from a smaller manufacturer called Speakman, and this is their open work flying tourbillon. So when you look at this watch initially, you have these very kind of like industrial lugs to them that stick out very, very prominently. When you look at the dial, you can see this kind of like an ace of spades on the end of the hour hand, with a very typical minutes hand. You see a tourbillon at 2 o'clock, I believe, and a rotor at 5 o'clock. So this watch actually comes in two sizes, a 38mm and a 42mm. I think this is a really good move from them. Some people look for things that are under 40mm, but then some people need to wear watches that are a little bit bigger because they have larger wrists. For me, I'd go for the 38 because I have a relatively small wrist. In-house tourbillon movement from them, which is a pretty obvious one when it comes to Speakman. Nice kind of onion crown, kind of like crown. It looks almost like a crown. It's, like I said, 38, 42mm. The case is actually in titanium, so it's going to be a very light watch as well, which I think some people also look for in watches. They want to make sure that they don't have such a heavy thing on the wrist. Open work dial with black microblasted matte finish, which I think is something you don't really see as much. It's almost like a very like spacecraft looking dial. The movement is the SMA 05, automatic micro rotor on the dial side of it. The 38mm version of this watch is $66,285 US. The 42mm is only $600 more, so price wise it's not really going to matter. They probably just priced in the additional metal. This is going to be available in June, but there are only 5 watches for each diameter, so only a total of 10 of these watches, which is typical for Speakman. I like the fact that Watches and Wonders is bringing to life Speakman. They're a smaller company, but they really do pack a punch if you're looking for this type of watch. The next was another one that I think really did take Instagram by storm, and that's from Piaget. If you don't know, Piaget is kind of into the very prominent for the creating dress watches and ones that are extremely thin. The one that they came out with was the Piaget Altiplano Ultimate Concept, which is the world's thinnest mechanical watch. When I say thin, I mean really, really thin. It's 2mm in thickness, which is, I mean, when you think about it, that is so small. So a really beautiful watch. There's a really cool picture. I'll see if I can put it up where it actually shows all of the components and how they fit into the watch. But when you think about a watch that's actually 2mm thin, each component is probably 1mm or less than a millimeter in thickness, which is incredible. This caliber is the 9P. Very, very compact movement, nothing really special, but beautiful finishing on it. The dial is really, really nice. I like the fact that on the bottom you can actually see the mainspring. I think that's something that's a little bit underrated, is being able to see the mainspring in a watch. Being that that's kind of like the thing that's powering your watch, I think it's something that should be brought to light to see. You can see the time is at 12 o'clock. Very, very small time. The hands of the movement are very, very small, so it's not something that you can see very easily. It's 41mm in diameter, so it fits your wrist pretty nicely, but at 2mm it's very, very thin. I will say it probably you probably wouldn't even notice that it's on your wrist, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The movement, like I said, is the 900p. It's got a rectangular crown at 6 o'clock, which is also something that's a little bit different. You don't see that very often. And then you have this, which is integrated into the case. Right now, the watch, being that it's a concept, is on request, so there really isn't a price that's available, but there's a very, very limited edition of this watch. The next is from Hermes, and this is the excuse my French, RQ L'Or de la Luna with 5 new dials. So if you look at this watch initially, the biggest thing is the moon phase. So you can see that there are almost two dials on the watch at 10 o'clock and at 5 o'clock, and they're lifted off of the dial. The one at 10 o'clock is the time, and then the one at 5 o'clock is the hours. But then behind it you see these beautiful moons, and essentially what this watch does is it tells you the moon phase for the northern and southern hemisphere. This is not a new watch. This was released, I believe, last year at SIHH, but they have some new dial variations of it. So I think the biggest thing here, you've got like a green one, a gray one, a brown one. I think the biggest thing here is the new way of telling the moon phase in a watch. This is a cool thing. I think Hermes has really come into their own for watchmaking within the last 10 years. They were really just a retailer, but now they've kind of moved into horology and really have created some beautiful pieces. So the two new case metals are white gold for the lunar and black Sahara, and then platinum for the Martian dial color. The dial colors are lapis lazuli, blue pearl stone, lunar meteorite, black Sahara meteorite, or Martian meteorite, and then you have a mother of pearl version as well. I think it was a cool thing that they came out with new dial variations, because I think this is something that you can definitely iterate on. It's not something that you see very often, but I think expanding the line because of the interest in this watch was a really great move. It ranges from about $32,000 US to about $54,000 US dollars. The Martian color is price on request, so you're gonna have to wait for that. Some of the Martian one only has 2 pieces. The lunar and black Sahara are 36 pieces each, and then the lapis lazuli and blue pearl is unlimited. I do want to just take a little bit of time just to look at the Vacheron Constantin Overseas Perpetual Calendar Ultra Thin skeleton. So this was an overseas with a perpetual calendar, but they've skeletonized the dial. I just want to briefly go over this because I think this is also really cool. This is something that I would look at if I were looking for a perpetual calendar, because I like seeing the movement of watches. This is a cool watch. I think the blue dial was a little bit more interesting, but again, this is just them changing the dial and still looking very cool. Comes in a blue, can come on a blue rubber strap, a gold bracelet, or a blue leather strap. Again, beautiful piece, just wanted to gloss over it. I have to say, Vacheron Constantin has done SIHH very well. Another thing that I want to go over, and I think this was very interesting, the Alangan, so the Odysseus was released quite recently, but at Watches and Wonders, they decided to release a white gold version of this to come on a rubber strap or with a leather strap. This looks very, very much like the Royal Oak, the way that the integration of the bracelet into the offshore collection. This is an interesting move. A lot of the times most people go for the precious metals and then move into stainless steel. They did it the other way, which is totally fine with me. It's probably going to have some stir to it, because who would buy a precious metal in white gold instead of just a stainless steel, which is the same color? You have to be a pretty big collector. I think I would do this, but that's just me. Again, I think this was kind of controversial, just when it was originally released, but also now that they moved into precious metals. Again, the last one I want to go over is from Vacheron Constantin. I know Vacheron Constantin has been a big theme here. They've released most of them recently. I'm recording this on the 3rd of May, so that's kind of where I got up to. I might do another one with pieces after the ones that I've covered here. But Vacheron Constantin released their Le Cabonotier Astronomical Striking Grand Complication, Ode to Music. So this watch is extremely complicated, just from the name. So when you look at the watch, you can see a moon phase over at 9 o'clock. You see a date wheel at 3 o'clock, a day of the week, and a month at 1 and 2. And then the sunrise and sunset on the bottom. It's a complicated piece. And then when you flip it over, you actually see the night sky with the months of the year. This is a grand complication, so it's a pretty complicated piece. If we look at the, give me 1 second, just want to bring up the complications here. Jeez. So the complications here. So we have the time, then you have a minute repeater, you have a perpetual calendar, you have a running equations of time, you have the age and phase of the moon phase, the age and phase of the moon. You have an indication of sunrise and sunset, an indication for the length of day and night, an indication for the equinox, solstice, and signs of the zodiac. So you basically can do everything with this watch. This watch, from a horological perspective, is an incredible feat. The movement that this one is actually running on takes its foundation from an ultra thin minute repeater caliber, which is the 1731, which came out in 2013. It also took some parts of the movement from the pocket watch reference 57260, which is one of their most complicated pocket watches ever to be produced. The watch is pretty big. It's 35 millimeters in diameter, so fairly large, but in order to fit all of these complications on it, it's going to be, you have to have all of that. The caliber that this one is on is the 1731 M820 with the additions that were added to it. It's very, very complicated, but a real feat for a watch manufacturer to make this type of watch. It's cabinotiers, referring to the watchmakers in their workshop. Very, very high-end watchmakers can make this. It's priced on request, so you're not going to be able to get this very, very easily. I think this is kind of Vacheron Constantin flexing their muscles and saying, look what we can do. And again, with a blue dial, which I think is really speaking to what people really love right now. So those are some of the interesting complications that I saw. I will say there are some interesting pieces that were released. Virtual platforms are a little bit different when it comes to releases, but it is what it is. We're in this time right now, so we might as well take advantage of it. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about these watches. Also, don't forget to like this video if you like this type of content, and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of video. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.